And so
Look, I
Christians,
run a TikTok.
that's right.
I have
You are one of these people.
I am such a TikTok influencer.
That's right.
I haven't quite hit the levels of, where they're paying me, but someday it's something to
It's a
shoot
dream.
for.
That's
Right.
right. All right. Welcome to All Are Yours. We're back. We're here, whether or not you want us to be.
Where else would they rather have us be?
That's right. That's true. I mean, if you press play, it's better that we're actually here talking
Sure.
and doing something.
Right? It's their own culpability.
You asked for it. Correct.
Right? It's not like we have ads that you got to skip through. We just get to the meat.
That's true.
Like valuable insight and wisdom per minute.
Yes. Yep. I mean,
In this podcast.
if YouTube does play ads for you, we don't get any of that cut. So yeah. That's not happening for us. So
maybe the only other podcast that is more meat per minute, MPM, is Business 300. And that's because you got one guy who's really worked to get it under 300 seconds.
That's
like
right.
This is the whole point of that podcast, right?
That's right.
But this could be maybe in the world the second most MPMs right after Business 300.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we don't like the fluff.
Like this.
Right. This is annoying.
Right here.
Right.
Is chit chat.
Nobody needs this.
No.
Correct. Exactly right. So we just want to get right to it.
What are we talking about today?
We are talking about the internet. Yes, but particularly we did get a question a couple months ago, and we had just mentioned that for us to get to a question in 2 months is pretty good. That's progress. We have been accused of worse things, not getting to responses faster than that. But we did get a question about Christians and social media influencing. So for us to do an episode, short video, that was the specific question, on Christians and social media influencing culture. And we did think that was a good idea. And so we had a few other topics we wanted to talk about before that, but now we are here. And
Christians and social media influencing or being influenced by social media, the too long didn't watch or listen answer is yes.
Correct. Exactly.
Christians could use social media to give a good influence. Christians can be influenced by social media for good or bad. The end. That's a true thing. It totally happens.
That's right. Well, yeah, I think there's maybe two approaches, right? Kind of what you talked about. Christians being the audience of that, right? So on the receiving end of social media influencing culture, and it is a culture. Like, there is a script that influencers follow, like the way they present certain things, and maybe it's a range as well, right? So there's a certain kind of maybe celebrity influencing that is more of a podcast or a show that is more instructive, some kind of course, some kind of a person with a big platform that is actually trying to teach you something. Or there's also just Instagram type influencers who is kind of like lifestyle influencers, right? That sort of thing, where you're following the gym bros or the home decor or parenting or whatever it is. And
look, I run a TikTok.
That's right.
You
are one of these people.
I am such a TikTok influencer.
That's right.
I haven't quite hit the levels of where they're paying me, but someday it's something to shoot.
It's a dream.
For. Right.
That's right.
No, I think it is significant and should not be missed that literally, and this is a bad filler word for podcast, so I'm sorry that I used the word literally, but it is true that the word that's used is actually influencer. That is
Correct.
the name of those of a category of person
Yeah.
who is a social media influencer. When you, I mean, these days you can actually watch certain reality shows where the people that they invite onto the reality shows, their label, their title, like why they got included or invited to be on the show is because they're a social media influencer.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a thing. You can actually have that be your job, not just like a supplement or a side hustle or whatever it is. So
Right.
the fact that it's recognized even in the word means that it means something.
Mm-hmm.
And when you combine a Psalm 1 sort of influencing idea, it's inevitable that there will be influence. There's one sort of influence that makes a man blessed and fruitful. There's another kind of influence that has a few different networks to it that makes a man like chaff, easily blown around, not
Mm-hmm.
stable, not really even living, but just, again, easily blown around like chaff or parts of dead leaves in the fall when a windstorm comes along. Like your life can be like a tree planted by streams of living water, and leaves are green in season and bears fruit when it's time, or you can be like chaff. And what makes the difference there are your influences, what you're thinking about, what you're meditating on. Romans 12, with the not being conformed to this world, but being transformed by the renewal of your mind, means that what we read, think, listen, watch, all those kinds of things that our mind is immediately involved in,
Mm-hmm.
that can either be conformed to the world or it can be conformed to God's word. It can be conformed to something else, to truth, goodness, and beauty, whatever, virtuous sort of thing it is, so that you can test what is good and perfect and acceptable to God. And there are influencers who, I mean, it's billions of dollars. I mean, the big social media networks are glad to pay out the nose for, to buy a new network to be part of their thing, to, again, pay the people who are participating in it to whatever degree. I mean, are you big into the bot farms where they show videos of there being 100 phones or 1,000 phones or whatever it is, and they're all hooked into like a main terminal or whatever it would be, and all the different phones are acting like human beings on these social media networks?
I have
So
not seen that.
yeah, they're bot farms.
Hmm.
So, somebody buys 100 cheap phones, gives them 100 different account, or I suppose it'd be possible to give the same phone different accounts, even for the same service. And so, they're out there. It's not just a computer running these bots, but actual different phones with different IP addresses that they're signing on from. And people are paying big money to do this kind of propaganda, to be this kind of influence. And so we better take that seriously if we're going to consider what the Bible says about our minds, loving God with all of our minds and thinking correctly. So how we are influenced is apparently a big deal to the world. So we're going to be influenced whether we're thinking about it or not. So we might as well be conscious of that. That was a big rant. So you could turn the podcast off right now and have gotten a immediate one-word answer and rants with Bible verses.
It's true. It's true. Right. Yeah. So it's not whether, but which. Right. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not if you're gonna be influenced. It's who you're gonna be influenced by. So like, what circles are you putting yourself into? And in this time and age, it's not even physical circles, right? It's easy to step into these rooms. These rooms are very accessible and they're very inviting. They want you to be there. They are incentivized to get your attention and to hold it, right? And for you to spend a lot of time giving them your attention, so receiving that influence. So in that framework, and I said kind of there's two parts of it. One is Christians as receivers, and maybe then later, second half, we could talk a little bit about Christians as the influencers, right? As that part of it. But just to hone in a little bit as on the receiving side. So um, there's a way to maybe go about how you're deciding who you're receiving that from. And I do think that receiving, I at least like that word a little bit better than consuming. So just consuming content or consuming the whatever they're giving you um, puts you in that frame of mind of is just empty consumption, right? It's going in um, and it's not ineffective. It's producing some kind of effect, but having that kind of consumption mindset is more passive. Where it's receiving, when you think about it more that way, you have more of even a choice. Do I want to receive this? They are giving it to me. Do I want to receive it? Do I want to take this? Do I want to accept it? And so thinking about yourself as that receiver, okay, so who am I following? Who am I being influenced by? How do I decide that? I guess even as I'm building up my uh, arsenal of my toolbox, I guess, of people who are giving me that information. So Christians as receivers, even more so than just as consumers.
Yeah, Mortimer Adler is the guy's name who wrote How to Read a Book, but there's some obviously receiving kind of application that comes along with reading or whatever it is from our phones, not just between two covers of a book. But he uses the idea of playing catch, where when you're catching a ball, you're receiving the ball. You have to be active in that. It's a different motion, a different outcome, obviously, than throwing the ball. But catching or receiving does actually require attention and effort and intentionality. Like, keep your eye on the ball to catch it. Otherwise, it might hurt you.
Right.
So, sure, there is definitely a good way to receive what is good. And then, because probably the way people talk about the consuming is dangerous because they do more turn off their minds. They are, like you're saying, more passive in that. And probably in light of how much information there is out there today that can just be consumed passively, probably the lesson is, well, don't take anything seriously. Like if that is on one end of the spectrum, a really bad way to not attend to what you're taking in, it actually just teaches you that everything is the same level of unimportance, or I suppose the same level of, everything is on fire. But even that provokes a different kind of response. So I think that the receiving, if I am going to open the app, I should think about it as, what am I going to go receive, as opposed to what am I just going to let scroll by?
Right. Well, yeah, and it has a certain kind of responsibility, right? That you own, that is put on you. So even, I guess there's some lawsuit that parents are suing maybe Facebook or Meta or whatever about that their whole platform is set up to have teenagers be like addicted to the social media, right? So again, it's that sort of approach where it's the influencer's fault that I am stuck here. It's your fault that my kids are having to or are addicted, or can't let go, can't put their phone down. Where again, it's that mindset of consuming. We're just passive consumers. There's nothing we can do about it. And so even I guess,
yeah, go for it.
No, and even in that parenting approach, knowing that whatever age your kids are, but at some age, you are responsible as the parent for what your kids are receiving, and then also then to train them to be responsible to choose what to receive, again, as opposed to just being that helpless passive victim of the world.
Yeah, even what kind, because I think you and I are more, we'd actually like to read words to consume.
Right.
I don't actually prefer oral or even video consuming as much, like to learn something or to receive in a way that gets in easier. I
Yeah, like
prefer.
we don't watch all of yours YouTube videos. We don't listen to this podcast.
I I mean, not for very long on purpose. That's definitely correct. Um, which in the little bit, I'm not an expert on the different uh social media sites. They're not all exactly the same, even though they're all under the banner of social media. So, I joked about my TikTok. I don't currently have it installed on my phone because you have to make an account from your phone. Once you get an account, you can use it in a browser, but they mean for you to have it on your phone. And TikTok is completely relentless. Have you ever done TikTok on your phone? Have you
No,
ever given the Chinese or whoever it is access to
no,
the
I'm
next
Russian.
level?
Yeah, no.
Yeah, exactly. So it is one of the most scary is too dramatic, unnerving, and it could be because of my age, could be because of my personality, could be because I'm a Christian and it's the Holy Spirit inside of me, any number of these things. But TikTok, you open it and there is video playing. And when you swipe, it is another video. So even if they have text overlaid on top of it, whether subtitles or it's some kind of image, it is video. It took me a while to actually find where the open the app muted setting was, because otherwise, as soon as you open the app, its default is video playing, the noise. And there's no like figuring out how to just pause what you're watching. And even if you pause it, like the next thing you're going to need to do is either go into your settings or you're going to have another video that you're going to have to pause. So you can't make it so that you have to press play. It is playing in your face, period. So
Yeah.
imagine then whatever the content is, if it is inappropriate content, or if you think you're going to get a recipe for how to make a meal, like some of them have been entertaining, but it's relentless pushing stuff right at you.
Right. Yeah.
Whereas you open up Instagram, and Instagram, at least a lot of times, defaults just to an image. So that is somewhat more restful. But again, even assuming that the image isn't an inappropriate, some kind of porn or soft porn kind of image itself, even if it is of a sunrise or sunset, you at least get some sense of pause. You can wait before you just immediately scroll to see another picture.
Right. Yeah.
But
So I know
but
on.
yeah, I mean, but it's still not. What are you learning from that? You're
Right.
learning that something is pretty, maybe, or beautiful. You can be thankful for a God's creation kind of image. Those are fine. But even with Instagram, it's much more, here is a produced image, and that's why Instagram's so famous for their filters, where it's trying to make it appear better than it is. Facebook has tried to learn, and I mean, Facebook bought Instagram because they recognized that the kids were going to the Instagram. So Facebook is like an amalgamation of, hey, you can do some short videos. Hey, you can post some text, but they punish just text. They want you to have some kind of image at least to go along with it. So, and these, so have I named four? So Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Those are maybe the big four called social media, though I think people would call podcasts, they'd call YouTube. There's a sense in which Pinterest is a social media sort of thing. So even underneath social media, thinking about what kind of stream you're trying to get influenced by is already different. And I think that some
Right.
of them are okay for different kinds of people, but again, like the TikTok relentlessness continues to bug me,
Right. Yeah.
and is a reason why I don't like it.
You're just a legalist. You're
I'm old. Look at all the gray in the
That's
beard.
right. Yeah.
I don't know what
You don't
generation I
understand these
am.
young
I'm not the
people.
TikTok generation. Yeah.
So I don't know on Instagram, right? There's a way where you go to somebody's profile and it's like just a different post that they have. You could see them in like a thumbnail view.
Okay.
TikTok does not have any of that. Is just reel after reel after reel. That's the only way to see something.
There has got to be a way to go to an individual's account and just see the things that they have posted, but
Okay.
that was not obvious to me how to see that.
Mhm.
There is a search button. I'm not sure that I ever searched for anything. I think you can definitely like things, and you must be able to go to your account and see the things that you've liked. So sort of as a bookmark. I mean, there's a young lady that I know who this was a few months ago, had over 50,000 likes on TikTok. And I have done a little bit of that math of just the amount of time, if it was 1 second per video, still to get 50,000 1-second videos. Like, you're not even caring what it is. You're just liking it as every time a new one comes through. Like, that is a crazy amount of time.
Right.
Presumably this person was not liking everything that they watched. So that's a small percent
Right.
of how much time they're actually spending on it. So yeah, you've got what that content is aimed at stimulating. You've got the actual content of whatever it is that you're consuming in whatever style or format. And then you've got amount of time that you're giving to it. I mean, these are all actually major different and unique parts that require some thoughtfulness.
Right.
And like you said, intentionality rather than just, oh, this is fun.
Right. There's a trade-off. So in each one of those, you're either doing one or another. Like, you're spending time doing this or spending time doing something else, or you're watching this or watching something else or whatever that is. And you mentioned this before, but yeah, there's a lot of money behind this. Like, it is a business model designed to grab and hold your attention. Like, that is the entire thing is built around that. So if you log off, they're not making any money, right? And so it's everything there is incentivized and built to keep you there. So even the strategy of entering that room, like, I mean, do you even have a strategy? Like, why are you in this room? What are you trying to get out of it? And when will you get out of it? So it's not to say that don't go in the room, but it's okay. Why are you going in there? What's the purpose? And so to have some kind of strategy there, because they definitely have a strategy. Like, you're the sucker, and they have you, right?
Especially, and I don't remember who first should get credited with this observation, but if the product is free, then you are actually the product. So they're getting information about you, your data, what you like, how they could sell things to you. Which is true of almost every Google product. Let alone, I mean, Facebook is free, TikTok is free, Twitter you can use for free. But yeah, you can't. It used to be, at least with Twitter, and I hate calling it X. I know that that's its name. I don't like it.
I don't even know what you're talking about anymore.
But it used to be that Twitter had a whole bunch of different apps that you could use to connect to the service. And so different app makers could focus on making tweets look a particular way instead of like just the way Twitter meant Twitter itself was doing. And one of the things that they used to let you do was have apps that only posted. So you could actually write in this app, you could save drafts in this app, and then you could publish from these apps without ever opening the stream. So kind of like using the going into the room analogy, you could open the door, yell in there, but you didn't have to hear anything. But even that, all of these other companies realize that if they just let people post into it, well, then they're not actually, even though they should recognize, hey, thank you, Sean, for posting on my platform. Thank you for that attention. I appreciate that. We'll let other people's time be sucked away by what you said. But no, they don't even like you to do that. They won't make you go in to get bombarded by the stream, even if you want to post something. Now, there are some other services that you can then pay that then pay into the Twitter API so that then you can just post for yourself rather than need to see the whole stream. But even that, that's a decision that they've intentionally made to try to make it hard to ignore diving into what everybody else has said.
Right. Because it is they're selling something, right? And so the advertisement marketing industry, that is what social media is. That's how they're making their money. And so if there's an audience there, and it's effective, like compared to marketing how it was before social media, just commercials, ads on TV. Who knows if you're hitting the right audience for your product when you're buying ad time on a TV channel. Billboards or even like Google ads when it first started was more arbitrary. Now with all of the tracking that they're doing, they know exactly what kind of product would interest which person, and so the advertisement is much more directed. So they want your attention there. There's a lot of money involved in there, and the other part of it is just the explosion of content production with AI. Like all of that introduction has flooded the social media space.
We should say that you and I right now are actually us.
We are real.
Even though other people are listening or watching on a screen, it is true that we are really where we're at while we're talking.
It's true.
So we have not trained our own bots to play us.
We don't even have like a fake background. This is the background.
It is so true. Because why would I have my background that I have if I was making something up? I wouldn't be out of center. It'd be more colorful and make me look smarter or whatever. So, I mean, yours is pretty good in the back. It looks sufficient. I mean, whatever that one right above you is, that looks like a whole series of books.
Yeah.
That's volumes worth of wisdom and information that you're able to show. So I just wanted to confirm, we have not used any AI in, our thoughts so far.
We do use some AI when we do the shorts and the little clip editing. So the software we use, AI, helps us edit that.
So what I understand is that so far AI is helping us say less and quicker.
Correct. That's right. Get to the point.
AI is only editing us out, not actually creating for us.
That's true.
So we haven't. I think that maybe is better. Like if you talk to somebody who said, no, just shut up about this thing. That's kind of what we let AI do so we don't get our feelings hurt. Correct. Oh, the algorithm said they didn't need to say this. That was a waste of time.
Yeah. But so it's getting like more wild out there sort of thing, right? So there's much more. And so the amount of wisdom that people needed even 5 years ago, 10 years ago, like today is so much more. And so again, we talked about this a little bit on the AI and technology episode we had, where it's scary, and that doesn't mean that we should bunker down and hide. Like we should engage, and how do we then use this to our advantage, right?
So I think especially I feel good about this because since you and I are generally more of the platonic abstract ideas persons, I do feel good that I think there are some very concrete, practical tips, hacks for parents, and just like for parents in their own consumption or receiving, as well as then as they think about for their kids. So I think it actually is a really good rule that you don't wake up, like generally. I'm not saying that this is every person every day all the time, but generally speaking, it is good if you don't wake up and immediately open social media to see whatever. Like, do some other things first, potentially Bible first. As Christians, that seems reasonable. If you're gonna let an input in right away, and sometimes that's another person that you're actually got up to that you need to talk to and help. That's different. But in terms of what you are going to try to receive immediately, well, why not try to receive something that you know is true, that is intended to bless you, make you flourish.
Right.
So, like in general, seems like Bible first is good.
Right.
Also seems like using some of the technology to fight the technology is also reasonable. And there's some really good technological helps. I think parents paying attention to their kids' screen time, setting not just app, but even device usage hours, or setting app like you get 5 minutes on this, or you have access to this app, but you can't even open the app unless I give you permission. And there are times where, as a parent, that is annoying to me when I'm trying to do something else and a kid asks for permission to do whatever the thing is, even for their homework. Like, well, I'm busy. And also, I'd much rather have that annoyance to me, knowing what it is helping protect them from. So I wouldn't give young kids a device anyway. Definitely not that is their own. As they start getting to the point where they could use a device even for producing things like school papers or doing research, okay, well, now we've moved into a different level. That's like at ECS, at least, I don't think we require too much typing assignments until around 6th grade and then into junior high. Then you're supposed to start typing things. But so we make it through most of grammar school where you don't really need to type things. So you probably don't need your own device. Then when they do get a device or get access to device, parents need to take the time to lock it down, to make it so that you can't use it unless I'm there. That's a reasonable rule, the younger they are especially. And you have to ask for permission to use certain apps, or you don't even install certain apps. So when our kids first get things in junior high, we don't even let them have access to any of the browser kind of apps where then they could search or do whatever. There's there's device limits, there are app limits, or even category, like social media is a category in screen time. You can see how much they've, if you've given them access, you can see how much they use, or you can say, don't even allow any of these kinds of apps for now. That's totally reasonable. Even just at Christmas time, Mo got our families a thing called Brick, which is an actual hard device. Have you heard about Brick?
Only from you.
Okay. And actually, it's great. I mean, it's the right kind of friction. So you decide, I'm going to brick my phone right now, and you can choose whatever modes you want to choose. So like, I've actually only got one social media app on my phone currently at all. I have a brick mode where the only thing I can't do on my phone is look at that app. And that is running almost all the time. So you have to actually go to that device again to unbrick to then be able to use those apps. So again, you can choose whichever ones are most distracting to you, are, the most temptations, and you can set that up. Parents can set that up for their kids. There's also one that we used called Canopy, which is a different kind of service where it claims, and it's hard to prove that this works because of what it's supposed to do, But Canopy claims that in real time, once you get it installed on a device, that it will make it so you can't actually go to certain websites and you can't actually see certain sorts of unclothed levels of photos, no matter who is posting them.
Okay.
So it's like a device level filter.
Mm,
So whatever app you're in, if you're using it on that device, it claims that it will actually limit what is available to that person. And then, parents have control of the kids' accounts to be able to filter those things. So obviously that's not the goal. Ultimately, parents, they want to get their kids to the point where the kid is the adult and the kid is making his or her own decisions. Obviously, we're not trying to be perpetual filters for our kids. And at the same time, you wouldn't give your 4-year-old the biggest knife in the drawer. So you'd teach them with a smaller knife. You'd show them, you'd work through them, you'd give them a tool that was appropriate to their level of coordination. And same kind of thing when it comes to receiving all these things. So setting up very practical limits. I think no device in a kid's room. So phone. So we, in our family, typically once you get your driver's license, you are ready to have a phone. And this has practical benefits, but also is like a rite of passage sort of thing. It's all made up. That's just what we made up. Seems right.
That's right.
But then there can be the other tools that you use to help protect the phone, including it charges in a separate room than your bedroom. And in the beginning years, you don't get to even have it in your room by yourself unless you've asked for permission and we know what you're doing with it. So you want to play music? Okay, well, that's a allowable thing while you're doing homework. So these are actual practical things that do take some time to decide, but parents need to be intentional about what their kids are receiving, what their kids are consuming. So parents can see for themselves. We know the challenges of distractions, temptations. We know that. Our kids need to know that we know that, even help them work through some of it. So going back to even to the knife illustration, showing them sometimes, okay, well, let's spend some time going through Instagram together. This is my Instagram account. These are the kinds of things that it shows me. What do you think about that? And actually hear what they have to say. So as opposed to, all knives are always bad, they could cut you. Because that's also true that they could cut you, but showing how to use it, talking through it. And then when the kid does potentially, get into a bad spot, they see something that they shouldn't see, not freaking out when the kid comes and then talks about it.
Right.
So, okay, well, this is an example of why it's dangerous. This is a significant thing. So let's talk about how we can avoid that in the future. And actually then, like I say, showing them a model of how to handle it. There's technology tools. There's actually not even giving them devices for, however long as possible. Being slow to introduce them to even some of the social media things. There are some really convenient like group messaging opportunities that students can have. And wow, those can go bad super fast. So like occasionally even doing an audit of your kids' messages, let alone their social media, posting and things like that.
Right.
So it actually requires a lot of effort to train, and as one of the particular incipient, that's probably too big of a word, but it's one of the inherent like built-in challenges with this particular topic is so many people want to go to use social media as a way to relax and not have to think.
Right.
When in fact, it's one of the biggest places where we need to make sure that we're thinking and helping our kids think through that as well. That was a lot, but it was practical. That was Aristotelian.
Some hot tips. That's right. Yeah. I think specifically parents to kids, the key word is training, Like that is what you're doing the entire time that they are under your domain, right? Under your roof, your responsibilities, you are training them up. Um, and so, specifically with social media, with the internet, with all of that, this is not a place where that is not needed. This is a place where that is needed even more. And so I think when parents do it wrong, they are not providing any training. That looks like, I think, either opening all the gates to everything, so there's no obstruction, there's no limits, no boundary. Whether that is done actively or that is done negligibly, right? So you just aren't paying attention, and so everything is open, but there is no training. Um,
Yeah. And
and
the kind of community, I forgot, Abigail Shrier, I think is the lady's name. She's written a couple books. I started reading the second one. The first one is called Irreversible Damages, which is about,
mm-hmm.
in particular, not letting young ladies just get affirmed in their desire to turn into a boy. But the reason why I'm bringing it up right now is because, generally speaking, most kids don't have parents that would affirm gender transition feelings. Generally, most kids don't have that. I mean, it seems scary, but maybe more parents today are open to that or even desiring that, pushing their kids into that. But generally, most aren't. However, the online community is completely affirmative.
Mm-hmm.
If you find the right group on whatever social media app it is, they're only going to give positive hooks
Mm-hmm.
to try to suck you in. They only get mean and belligerent when you try to get out of the group. When you're detransitioning is then when you become the enemy.
Right.
And so if you're a kid who is feeling any kind of insecure, which some types of insecurity while you're growing up are a temptation that everybody goes through. So there's some more severe than others. But if you're looking for identity, well, people online are going to give it to you.
Mm-hmm.
You can find people who can tell you who you should be or who you really are deep down inside, and they're not going to confront you about that. Now, you and I probably spend more time on Twitter, where everybody likes to tell everybody that they're wrong, but that's how they keep people like us engaged. They'd
Right.
keep young kids engaged by affirmative things and pointing them down paths where they can feel better about themselves for whatever reason. And so those online communities, like I say, in a gender confusion or sexual confusion, like there's lots of people who are glad to get their hooks into young people in that
Mm-hmm.
in that particular sphere.
Right.
So in addition to just paying attention to what your kid is consuming, making sure that they also feel secure as part of your family,
Mm-hmm.
who they are as Christians, and then who they are as part of your family, so that they don't need to go looking for digital strangers to
Mm-hmm.
give them affirmation.
Well, I think a lot of the identity crises come about even from social media. So it's not just that they are affirming some kind of, misapplied identity or twist that the kid might have, but they're the ones who are creating that crisis. So even looking at all of these, uh, you know, lifestyle influencers, like this looks so cool. I want to have this kind of lifestyle. I want to have this kind of money or drive this kind of car or do this sort of thing for work or whatever. Like it breeds a lot of discontent. It breeds a lot of ingratitude for what God has actually given that kid in his own parents, in his own community, what he has or what she has. So a lot of the, I think, identity crises are cultivated, are nourished, are created even within these social media environments, and then they are affirmed, right? Then they are kind of set up and then slammed down. And so, yeah, I think parents not being attentive. So, what you're saying, having a sure and sound foundation for the kids identity, but then also making sure that you are protecting that identity from the outside, like what is coming in. So yeah, parents not training.
Yeah, keep going.
Well, I was going to say, so the one ways of parents not providing the training is by having everything just open. The other way of parents not providing training is by having everything closed. And so everything is just locked down and closed, and we don't even go there. We don't even talk about it. There's no practice. There's no drills. There's none of the, hey, look at my feed. What do you think about this? Right? We're not doing any of that. So that then when the kids get out of the parents' roof, it's just everything all of a sudden is open, and they have no idea what to do with it. They don't know how to handle any of it. So the lack of training, the absence of training, I think both dishes are a result of that, or are different ways of not providing training, either opening everything up or shutting everything down, and never having any kind of guidance in any of it. I think is two opposite ways of not training.
You can use any knife you want to at any time, or we're not even going to put butter on our bread because a butter knife might hurt us.
Right. Exactly right.
Yeah. Insecurity is big business.
Right.
Potentially insecurity is more business than anger, because it seems like the way you get people engaged online is to show them things that would make them mad. I think we've talked about that before, even on the podcast. We probably made people mad. That's why we talk about it, is to keep them engaged.
It's big business.
Yeah, we need them to watch all the way through the end to see the ads. Yeah, so anger obviously keeps people engaged, but I do wonder if insecurity / anxiety is bigger business, bigger identity giving, comfort giving, peace giving, distraction till you feel sad giving, let alone the pharma and medicine for it, or doctors who can help, or psychologists who, making big bank when they have their meetings kind of thing. So knowing that insecurity, like that our kids are meant to get security, and who they're getting that from. That's another, not whether, but which. So who are they getting it from? They're going to get it from somebody, and should be from us rather than from, some stranger on TikTok.
Right. Yep. So that's maybe a little bit Christians as receivers. So what about Christian?
Before we move on to how awesome we are at publishing our things, what's your, I think I know, but like, what's your social medias of choice, and how do you decide who you are following?
If I could only do what I would like to do,
it can be ideal. Sure.
Yeah. I think I do like Twitter, X, but not everything on there. There are maybe two types of people, two types of influencers in the X community that I like, I enjoy, I choose to follow. One is people who are perceptive. They're able to see through and call things out maybe a little bit more, with more clarity than through the noise than other people are. There's a lot of noise everywhere, and especially when there's hype and anger and all of that, people who are able to see certain things through. I like that. The other kind of person, there are people who are building something, who are making something real. I think there is a certain subculture within Twitter of that sort of thing, and that could span across different industries, different genres of building and creating. But people who are not just, who don't just have opinions, or aren't just there to share their thoughts on the latest problem or whatever, but they're building something, and their posts are kind of overflows of what they're building. Yeah, I find Facebook, Instagram, all of that annoying. A lot more noise, a lot more mess. I have not done anything on TikTok, so I have no opinion on that. But from what you're explaining, that sounds even worse.
I'm making it sound so good to get yourself a TikTok. I'm surprised you haven't done it while I've just been ranting in my little sections here while I'm talking.
Yeah. But overall, like, my approach to social media, and maybe that would be a segue after I could ask you the same question as well. But my approach to social media is more work related than consumption related. Like if I did have, I see it as a tool to help build. And so I'm trying to, that's a lie. I'm not trying to. I intend to try to, use it more to that end. But if I were to relax, I would not log on. I would be logged off. That is not a place for me to decompress and relax. Okay. So like in the mornings, I think after I wake up, maybe 4 hours later, maybe 5 hours until I actually check some kind of social media.
When it hits 5:30 a.m., you're like, okay, now I can check.
That's social media. That's right. Yeah. So, but what about you? For your kind of, taste, what is your palette for who you follow and why?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, platform-wise, I also prefer the place where very few of my closest people are. So it is what it is. I'm not like, it's not worth complaining about, but it is true that I don't like it. I like words, and I actually really liked when it was hard on Twitter to post more than 160 characters.
Mm-hmm.
It was 160 or 180?
140. It was 140, and then they jumped to 280.
Right. So I actually did not get excited when they went to 280, let alone now where
it's long form.
I'm not sure. Can you post as much as you want if you still are for free?
I don't think so.
I've been paying to get some less ads and to do some other things for a couple years, so I forget. I haven't looked into that. But I don't like the articles that get published, and now they're actually called article. Like you can make a separate thing called articles. I don't like that. I liked when people had blogs and they would put a link to their blog and I'd go read that if I wanted to. So I really liked where everybody had to compress, their observation, their pithy thought, like you were saying, the people who could give some signal in the noise. I really enjoyed. And I had more friends who were also using Twitter, in those days, maybe 10 years ago kind of thing. I mean, I was a pretty early adopter. So interestingly enough, I think a bunch of tech things are kind of fun. If I had a hobby, it'd be more probably on the techie side. So I follow some people who are more techie. I do also try to follow some things that are more news, like that would highlight news things, because I'm not watching cable news. I don't subscribe to CNN or Fox, like even in the browser. I only go to those when I see them on Twitter, like that they've written something longer about it. So I get some fun sort of techie things. I get some sort of news highlights, or, points me out that I need to go read some more about a big event or thing like that that's happened. I do like to follow some people that I really know. And then there are some businesses that I'm kind of interested in, whether it's because they're building, like you're talking about, they're trying to establish a thing, or I just like their product. I'm not opposed to giving follows to those. But most of the people that I know are on Facebook, and so that's where they post their things. If I post the same information on Twitter and on Facebook, I mean, I almost get 10 times the responses on Facebook as I do on Twitter. That is not something that I enjoy. I still probably post when I post 10 times more on Twitter, but I get 10 times more interaction on Facebook. So I try to be attentive to that, but I don't. I mean, if I was just doing my preference,
right.
I have an personal Instagram account. I tried TikTok for sake of the Marysville Sun. And I mostly did it kind of as a dare to myself because it's just so outside of my wheelhouse. So I haven't yet shut it down. I still think lots of people, I see a place for a short little video that would point to something else. But it just wears me out to try to think about making a short little video.
Right.
So I haven't done one in a while,
Right.
but I've at least tried it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and so I do think there is a place for sure for Christians to be in the position of influence like that. That's what we want. We want to be the influencer, right? We want to be the salt of the earth, like to add flavor, to add taste. We want to be the light set on a hill, like not cover the light under a basket. Like we're supposed to be doing this. This is part of the calling. And so the people are online. That is where the people are. And so we should also be there speaking, and not necessarily explicitly just the message of the gospel, but speaking all truth, speaking all goodness, all beauty, right? All things that Jesus is Lord over. We should be seeking to and actively be effective in presenting that, right? So showing what that kind of life looks like. So yes, not only should Christians be intentional about what they receive, but also as to what they produce, as to what they create and how they influence. So
how they respond, when they post something and someone freaks out about it, how they respond to that is also, a follow-up part to it. One of my favorite Twitter accounts ever was when Ben Sass, it was Ben Sass's personal account right at the beginning, maybe when he was running to be senator in Nebraska. And then I think he kept his personal account even after he won his Senate seat. And he was clever. I mean, he's a Christian. He was clever, pithy, and he was super excellent at responding to annoying trolls. And I forget how many years ago this was. I mean, it was probably, again, close to 8+ years ago, pre-COVID and pre-AI and pre a bunch of bots. So I do think at that time it was more, you knew you were responding to an individual, even if they were anonymous. And I suppose that's even its own discussion. Should you post anonymously or care about what anonymous accounts say? But back in the day when it was less likely that you were responding to a computer but a real person, he didn't take himself too seriously. He'd respond playfully, but also without, compromising and just rolling over to whatever criticism or complaint they would give, whether it was an ad hominem attack against him personally for some dumb reason, or it was against a policy that he was talking about. I actually really appreciated his kind of public openness to put things out there and then to respond when people said dumb things back. Let's see what it looks like to answer a fool according to his folly. Let's see what it's like to not answer a fool according to his folly. So people who can do that really well, I have appreciated. Ben Sass was one of my favorite ones. a long time ago to see that happen. But yeah, we have opportunity to be salt and light, to make the gospel look good, to adorn the gospel. You know, if slaves could do it in Titus 2:10, adorn the doctrine of God our Savior, then, you know, there's ways that make it show that it's tasty, that it is good, you know, that it's firm when it needs to be, that it's food when it can be, that it's fun. And I don't mean to just alliterate, but my day job is a pastor, so of course
You went to seminary.
I was influenced.
Yeah. There's a whole class.
Alliterate, my thoughts off the top of my head, whatever. But yeah, being able to, I mean, would Martin Luther be using Twitter? I mean, yeah, he would be. So the ability to
he'd be publishing little cartoons.
It'd be delightful. Yeah. So, I mean, following Trump is, I'm not really sure if I had to only select one adjective, what it would be. But following Trump is at least not boring.
Right.
You know, and he clearly is effective, whether or not, you know, we would want to be effective towards the same ends as him. You know, in lots of cases, not. In some cases, definitely, for sure. So it's at least instructive. It's bordering on entertainment a lot of the time. No matter what, even if it's foolish, it's still interesting that this guy thought that that was the right thing for him as president of the United States. Like, that needed to be said. He felt like that on whatever afternoon. So that's instructive. Christians have the spot, like you said, because other people are there consuming. You know, I mean, you don't want to just give them perpetual reasons to stay online, but also we have better things than the world does, than those who are in the dark do. So, you know, even one of the reasons for apologetics is to not necessarily convince the unbelievers, but to show the believers that there's reasons that believers have that the unbeliever can't answer. So you try to answer the unbeliever, and it might actually be somebody else who's watching that really gets the benefit from it. So I find it helpful to try to put into, you know, whatever clever or pithy or whatever it is, you know, to make a bullet point out of a big thing. And sometimes for me, that seems like it takes too much effort, and so I just move on. But I kind of enjoy it as well. So what's wrong with that? I don't think anything is wrong with trying to figure out what little seeds you could sow that might be an encouragement or a challenge, or be an example to somebody else to do the same thing. I mean, when there are things going around about, you know, getting rid of abortion, well, sure, I'm going to retweet that. I'm going to like that. I'm going to jump on that. Like, I'm happy to participate in the swell of attention on some of the big issues, you know, when those come through their cycles. Is that guaranteeing that, you know, the goal is going to be accomplished because we were on social media all together about it? Like, no. But is that a place to, again, get into people's minds? A good thing? That seems appropriate. So it would require, I mean, even going back to the original question for why we're talking about this, like, should a Christian be influenced? Yes, they're going to be in some way, and so they should be wise about it. Can a Christian provide influence? Also, let's do it. But that requires attentiveness to not getting consumed by it. You used the word tool before, you know. So when you are a servant of the tool, that's the wrong relationship.
Right.
When the tool is a servant to you, well, then that's exactly how it should be. And some of these are really amazing tools.
Right.
Trying to communicate your idea, or even, you know, I'm not. This isn't as much my way of rolling as it is some other people, but sometimes I do put things out there to see what sort of criticisms they might draw.
Mm-hmm.
Not because I'm trying to trap anybody else into finding out who they really are, but because I'd like to work on sharpening my own argument. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
what is wrong in this particular thing? Well, I throw it out there because I don't have a live-in editor. I don't have, people who are immediately available to tell me how dumb the things I'm thinking are. You throw it out on the internet, well, somebody's probably going to tell you whether they think it's dumb or not.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe I still don't agree with what they complain about. Fine. But I learned some more from kind of throwing it out there to see what they think. I am less, and different people have different giftedness and different time constraints. So all of these are true things, but I'm not really convinced that I want to take the role of perpetual provocateur, like saying the most outrageous things that I can just to try to get more attention.
Mm-hmm.
Those accounts typically I unfollow because it's like they need to say the most outrageous thing, and
Mm-hmm.
that seems to get more and more intense. I'm not saying that there's no place for outrageous statements. I just like the idea of sowing good seeds for fruit and the building idea better,
Mm-hmm.
even if that doesn't attract as quick of attention or
Yeah.
is less likely to go viral.
Yeah.
I kind of am more okay with that, even though obviously I don't have huge accounts. So there's probably reasons for that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think there's a place for provocation, even in the way that Jesus used it, Paul used it. Um, I think that when provocation is a bait and switch, that is like clearly annoying. Um, when the person cannot defend uh, the way it was meant to come across, right? So the person would say it one way and then would kind of back out of it. I think that is not helpful. But when a person is able to defend it and it's more provocative, not because of what he said, but because of where the culture is at, like the culture is at a place uh, of crazy. So the person who's saying something normal sounds provocative, sounds crazy. Um, and I do think also that the place of bait and switch makes it be more fake, and that's where it's annoying. Like the person's what it sounds like he's saying, it's not actually what he's saying. Then he backs out. And maybe if I were to have kind of a summary principle of Christians as influencers, kind of what would be the banner on top of it, I think I'd say be real. Um, like be real in the place of fakeness, whether it's AI or whether it's just showcasing some kind of lifestyle, showcasing some kind of influence. There's so much posing, so much posturing. And for a Christian to show something that is real is refreshing. And so maybe even kind of three approaches to that. One would be uh, instead of focusing on promotion or marketing yourself or whatever it is you're doing, focus on the actual product. So the value that you're providing. So whether your product is, some kind of thought. So your product is the thought, is the message. Whether it's a product that you're selling. So just instead of trying to fake the promotion, but create better value. If people are not responding to the value you're providing, that means your value is weak. Your value is not good enough, right? Then also, instead of trying to show something, actually have more substance. So a lot of times, what the face that people are presenting online is much further out than they actually have. So it's not, it's well edited and it's well posed, when in reality it's not like that. And so I think what you would want is to be more of the tip of the iceberg. So what you're showing is just the tip of the iceberg. There's much more substance underneath that nobody gets to see. So focusing on substance over show. And then the third part of it would be focusing on building over brand. So instead of just trying to build a brand, build something real, build an actual thing, and then let the brand maybe come out of that, or again, point to that. So Christians as influencers, maybe that summary tag of it is to be real, as opposed to being not real, being fake or showy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, salt and light are real influences.
Right.
Light is a real influence in the darkness. Salt is a real influence on the taste. So be light and salt actually wherever you're at, including online.
Right. There you go. All right. Well,
this was the short video.
Correct.
Answering the question.
There you go. Social media, the influencer lifestyle. Get some. There you go.